Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about my income for 2019 as is related to this channel. That's nonfiction and fiction income kind of rolled together. This follows the tradition of, the last 4 years? I think I started this in 2016. I don't know. Might have to look. In any case, I have a long video ahead for you. We're going to go over my numbers for the year, what I earned, what I spent. And it's, as always, it's important to note, the first number that you see, my overall income, looks really impressive, but then you got to think about how much money and time it takes to earn that income and all the costs that are associated with it. So I think these videos are important because they show you it's not just this great number. If you hear somebody's a 7-figure author, well, they may have earned $1 million that year from their writing, but how much of that is profit? And it's when you start asking questions like that, that you can really kind of peer into our business and see whether or not it's profitable. In my case, this was a great year. It was very profitable for me. My advertising costs tripled, but my profit went way up. So we'll take a look at that. Anyway, let's jump in. I'll show you the numbers, since delaying that, and you guys can see exactly how I did and sort of what takeaways I had for the year. Okay, so we are looking at very, very rough numbers for the years, guys. I am still sleep deprived like you wouldn't believe, adjusting to being a new parent. But I'm starting to get the numbers together. And so income is a little more accurate than expenses. All I've really calculated for expenses are my advertising costs and my editing and coverage roughly. But the rest of the stuff hasn't been calculated very well. So these numbers are going to change a little bit. But this will give you, a pretty good idea. And it occurs to me as I've looked in years past that that's always the case. Every time I do one of these for you guys, the numbers are an estimate. So anyway, how did I do? You can see green is a good color and yellow is a bad color. Last year, my primary source of income, ebooks, was down. And it was down the year before that. So you can see in 2016, kind of exploded onto the scene. Things were going well, but it's been in a slide ever since. And I was not sure why or what I could do to fix it based on my current production. What I kept trying to do was increase my production to unrealistic levels, and then what would happen is I'd burn out midway through a year and the sum total of my sales would be lower. So I gave it a lot of thought this year. I approached things differently, as you've seen in my videos from the beginning of the year. And this is the result. I did really well. My ebook sales are higher than they've ever been. I definitely set a really, really huge record. That is also true of audio. I almost doubled my income in audio and almost doubled it in ebook as well. So you can see the core areas are just shooting up. Paperback, not as dramatic a change. I did have an increase, which is nice, but it didn't quite hit the goals that I had. So let's kind of inch that over a little bit and you can see what the goals were. So this was at the beginning of the year sort of what I was hoping to do. And the final income I was hoping would be $351. The actual income was $354. How crazy is that? We talk about visualization and hitting specific target milestones. And time after time, that's what our brain will do, really, if we turn it loose to turn a problem over time into a solution. Anyway, let's go category by category. So paperback was fine. Audio did incredibly well and continues to. I have lots more ideas on where I can take audio as well. So I see nothing but growth in that area, especially now that I have more and longer series, including a complete one, and I'll have more of those in the future. Ebooks, same deal. I didn't release very many books this year at all. I put Bird out in February. I finished up the Magitech Chronicles, so we saw Nefarious and God's War, finish that series. And guys, that was it. Everything else that was released this year was a box set, just a collection for something else. I only had 3 new novels, so my production is certainly not higher than it's been in years past, and yet the income certainly is. Other retailers, I really am only selling nonfiction on Kobo. I'm not really trying to push it terribly hard either. So, great, couple $100 more. I'm not going to turn it down. Consulting is interesting because it's like, wow, that went really well, Chris. Well, it did up until maybe July, and then I just stopped doing it. You guys know that I'm big on the Pareto principle. It's a huge, part of how I do everything. 80% of my success is coming from 20% of my efforts. Now, if you were to look at this chart, where does it appear like 80% of the money is coming from? That is science fiction and fantasy sales, me writing novels and pleasing audiences. And when I realized that, when I'm like, okay, I could just do that and like everything else is sort of fluff, it doesn't really matter what people pay me. The crazy numbers sound great, but it's not worth it to me to get involved in other people's careers and issues when I can be working on my own and actually enjoying that and improving that. So that's not to say I don't still help people, and occasionally I will take a client on, but I'm not actively seeking clients at all, even at the crazy prices that I charge. But even still only having done it for half a year, I made pretty good money this year consulting. I'm hoping that this figure in 2020 is zero. That is my goal. Let's make this zero going forward. Courses, wow, am I at a milestone on courses. So if you would ask me prior to going to 20 bucks to 50K, the conference in Vegas, will I ever release another course? The answer would have been no. No, I didn't enjoy the experience. And what I didn't enjoy about the experience is monetizing authors. I don't like doing it. It's hard for me to see somebody who is toiling in the same trenches that I have toiled in my entire life to turn these books out and to watch them hand me a big chunk of money and then get nothing out of it. So I did a course on advertising. I would say probably 95% of my students got nothing from it, didn't really, watch the videos or try to implement the course. And sure, the 5% of people who did do it seemed to profit highly from it. The reason why I say my stance may change is when I went to 20 bucks to 50K, a couple of people took me aside in separate conversations and said, Chris, you're offering amazing value at a reasonable price. It's not your fault if people, do something with it or don't do it with it. And you'd be helping a lot of people if you put this out there. So I might release a couple more courses. I will keep them inexpensive if I do. So it's very possible going forward I could do something in this area. If you're watching this video, what do you think? Are courses worthwhile for you? And if you're curious about what courses I'm talking about, I have a time management course that I will be putting together because I feel like that's one of the number one skills where somebody can use Polish. How do you manage your email? How do you manage your tasks in an intelligent way so you're actually able to get projects completed? Like project management is just a huge, huge problem for a lot of authors. And I see just a glaring niche that could be filled. So courses like that. I have one on possibly on plotting for science fiction and fantasy. I mean, I have some ideas that I could do that I think would service a larger market. But at the same time, it's not as fun as writing. And so I could never do another course and be a happy guy. I could just do science fiction and fantasy for the rest of my career and I'm good. Let's see. So now we're down to YouTube. YouTube did pretty well. It's just continuing to trend upwards. I'm making, $150 to $200 a month doing nothing but releasing the occasional video. This will actually probably go up quite a lot though, because I do have a second YouTube video that's going to go live and it has much higher production quality and a lot more content going forward. It's to support world building and role playing. So that might actually be a line item that goes up significantly next year as I am planning on cultivating a much larger audience and getting a lot more serious about that part of YouTube. This channel probably won't grow at all, but that one certainly will. And I'll let you guys know on this channel how that one does. But that will be probably a little chunk of my income. You're also going to see a new line item for role-playing games, which should rival ebook or at the very least audio when I am done next year. So finally, I'll have that producing income. So much of my year this year was spent building things and not actually selling things. I finished all these projects and I have all this stuff ready for release, but I haven't actually done so yet. And I still did pretty well, so I'm happy with that. Let's see, the last thing. Affiliate income also went down for the same reason as courses. I'm not really enjoying monetizing authors. It changes your relationship with other authors in the industry. And I'm just tired of getting grief from the people who see me as a product and not as somebody who's just trying to help. And so if I'm not charging for that stuff, if I'm not selling things, then, there's much less issue with people giving me grief about that stuff. And, I know that that's petty and maybe I should be able to get over that, but, I'm identifying a problem that's bothered me and trying not to make it happen in the future. So I've been doing a lot less of the, hey guys, I'm aware of this, product or course that I think might help you guys. And so my affiliate income dropped too. But again, just like with the courses, that could go to zero. And since this and this are higher and where I want them to be, I'm a happy, happy man. And adding in those role-playing games as another source of revenue is going to raise that still higher, doing something I absolutely love. So more than happy to let affiliate income and courses and stuff fall by the wayside alongside consulting. Although, again, we'll see. We'll see how much I'm willing to do of that stuff going forward. I do like helping people, but it's got to be in a sustainable way. Anyway, final gross income, as you can see, we can go ahead and change that right now to a color fill. Boom. A big year for me, record in pretty much every way. And just mind-boggling because that's an average, guys, of about $30,000 a month in revenue. $30,000 a month in revenue. And now we get down to, what does it cost? Because, this is the inevitable, are you actually making money? Anybody can just, fire hose money into advertising, but can you do it profitably? Well, as it turns out, yes, I can. As you can see, the market's definitely, getting higher and harder, and I'm having to spend more money on advertising. I basically tripled my ad spend. And maybe then some. When I do up all the numbers, we may even find that this is a little bit higher than what I have down here. It's possible there's some advertising platforms outside of the main four that I haven't put in here. But even if this were higher, you can still see my overall profit is much, much higher. I paid myself better this year. So last year, this is between my payroll and my retirement. This went up significantly. I took a larger draw and I paid myself some extra cash. We now have a child. That's not cheap. So I felt it was time to give myself a raise. I've been doing this for quite some time and I haven't given myself a raise since like 2016, as you can see. So it was time. My editing and covers went way down because I didn't release a bunch of books. The only editing that I needed to do, Lisa's been doing quite a bit of it. So all of this was paid back to Lisa pretty much, except for the money that I spent on covers, which, gosh, it was $4,000 or so, somewhere thereabouts. I'll have much firmer numbers, I'm sure, in the future. But all in all, my numbers here were much, much lower. You're not seeing things like production costs for the role-playing game, which I'm going to break out separately. So I did spend some money on art for that. But as far as fiction goes, my costs are down, my profits are up across the board. For insurance, travel, and MISC, these aren't calculated at all. I just wrote down some numbers based on things that I am aware of. These could be higher or lower. I have no idea. But I wanted to put this video together relatively quickly, and so I'm going with some less than perfect data. But even if a lot of this stuff changes and swings in the other way, nothing changes the fact that I got paid way, way better this year. Roughly $100,000 in profit, even if these numbers end up swinging higher. And they may be lower, some of them, but if they end up swinging higher, still about $100,000 in profit for the company. And then I paid myself way better. So I made almost $200,000 this year after expenses. And one of the things that a lot of people don't tell you if you're watching this video, and you've got a business, directing the flow of this money here, sure, it's not my income, but when your business is purchasing a bunch of things that are legitimate for you, like trips to various places, making almost $200,000 and then having the business pay for all sorts of things for me, and it feels like I'm living a little bit larger. So this was a really good year for me. I was able to not actually put a ton of money in savings because, my family grew, but I was able to absorb all of the changes to my family and still slightly increase my savings and reinvest a ton of money into 2020. So what should have happened in 2020 is I blow the doors off. My goals for this year are going to be 7 figures. I am going to try to hit $1 million for the first time. And I'm going to do it differently than most people would expect. And I'm not even going to talk about what those plans rather are. But that is my very, very audacious goal. I'm going to try and triple my income this year. And I think it's very, very possible to do with all of the stuff that I have coming out. I've got all these novels and role-playing games and additional products you're not even aware of that are coming out. And jumping over to my numbers real quick. Here's the annual income you can see for ebooks. Why did I even jump over here? Was I going to show you? Yes, loss of momentum. That's what I wanted to talk about. All in all, a great year, but you can see my big months for ebooks came in the summer. I released Void Wraith box set and I was carrying things, and I haven't put out any novels since. So my last novel came out on June 30th, at the end of this month. And so I've had no new fiction since this summer, and you can see obviously that the numbers are sliding. I have not been idle during this time. It is possible that I may have a super secret pen name that you know nothing about in a genre that you will never, ever find or guess. And that it's possible that I tried writing to market, under my own umbrella with no help to see if it would still work. And that maybe I'm blowing the doors off in that category. And that's why I feel so confident about $1 million next year. Or maybe I'm just making it up and that pen name doesn't exist and I'm just trying to get you to go look for one. Who knows? But what I will say is whether it's because I decided to take a vacation or because I am working on other projects, you can see my income here flattened out. I don't want that to worry you in any way, shape, or form. You're going to see that skyrocket over the next few months of this year. It's still very possible to make it as an author. We have more tools than ever. And all of this, guys, comes back to me understanding my audience and their needs. There you go. That's what this channel's about. That's what I have managed to do this year. That is why my income has skyrocketed and why it's done so in a sustainable way, doing the thing that I enjoy the most in the world. I love, 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 love writing science fiction and fantasy. I love working with role-playing games. You can see over here on my World Animal Cage, I spend so much time here just building stuff, always putting stuff up here. And the fans love it because I'm creating this extra content for them. And going forward, guys, that's going to be the core of what gets me where I want to be, what gets me to, in 1 year, a 7-figure author. So I am now finally, I can call myself a 7-figure author. I've earned over $1 million total from my books. But I'd like to be able to say I earned 7 figures in a year as an author. And it is very possible this will be the year that happens. If I fall short, this is the beautiful thing, oh no, I only doubled my crazy income. Like, falling short is just fine for me. The important thing is that I'm trying to do things that are keeping me interested and that I'm aware of what's happening in the industry and I'm adapting to it. You really do need to continuously adapt. Everywhere I hear people complaining about how hard it's getting and how much less money they are making than they used to. And again, I mean, when you look at my advertising numbers, I'm having to shell out a bunch of cash, and that's more than what I used to have to do. If we jump back to 2016, a lot of this, guys, was software. It wasn't even advertising. And now you see every year it's going up to kind of tread water because the competition is so fierce in every genre. Sure, the old gatekeepers are dead. The old publishers are no longer a big problem for us. But, the new gatekeepers are power blocks of authors who know how to do this well and can produce content quickly and have large backlists. And there's a lot of us out there. And I do believe that there's room for everybody, but income is much harder to earn than it once was. And you do have to do everything right. So I don't know. It remains to be seen how I'm going to approach the industry going forward. I've proven to myself that I can make way, way better money from fiction than I can working with authors. But I like authors, especially authors who write science fiction and fantasy. If you write science fiction and fantasy, you are part of my tribe. And if you don't write science fiction and fantasy, you're always you are, part of my larger tribe. We're all authors. We're all in this together. I don't care what genre you write in. And so I do want to help people, but I'm learning to pick my battles. When you're as exhausted as I am, having been a dad for less than a week, I think maybe today is day 7. Man, I don't even know. So many poopy diapers. But I really want to see our industry grow going forward, but I don't know how much I can do in every single genre. And I may, end up just doubling down more on science fiction and fantasy and trying to help that angle. But, whoever you are in whatever part of the industry that you are in, I hope this information is helpful. And I've given a lot to share this over the years, and I will continue to try to do so. I see as anyone successful in our industry, you kind of have a little bit of a responsibility to pay it forward and help the people that are coming after us. Because it's paving that road helps everyone involved. I mean, the rising tide does actually lift all boats. You never know when someone that you help today who is wide-eyed and just coming into the industry tomorrow is going to be in a position to help you, or just to make the world a better place, or write a book that you're going to love, or maybe your kid will end up loving. I'm all about helping people and growing together as an industry, and I'll keep trying to do that, guys. It's been a wild ride on this channel, and there will be more videos to come. Anyway, I do desperately need to get back to the writing and to the parenting. I am currently working on The Flame of Knowledge, which is book 2 in the Magitech Legacy. That's the new Magitech series, the sequel series. And I am also writing the Ark War, which is book 5 in the Deathless series, which is a ton of fun with the new archaeological evidence that's come out about Göbekli Tepe recently. So I'm going to get back to that, guys, and I will see you in the near future. All right, take care.